Look Bout YuSelf with Marcia and Musufing.
So last time, what did we talk about?
We talked about our experiences in relationships, I guess, from the foundational to when we actually kind of went out there in the world, as young people, as young women, and navigating our way through the complexities of relationships back then for us.
Yes. And we hope it's been enlightening. We haven't meant to depress you, but we've just been speaking honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So today we want to talk about as older, fabulously older black women.
Yeah.
Our experiences today, and since we've been in our worlds, let's say mid-40s.
Yeah, I think for me, at this stage of my life, I think the last relationship that I had, I'm talking about 5-6 years ago now, and that ended badly. However, in and amongst all of that, I was able to maintain myself. Whereas if I think about past relationships, in my younger days, there would be a lot of soul searching, and crying, and and just not having that resilience to kind of move through the depression and all of that. I think particularly with this time round, I still had some of that, but there was once I understood what was happening to me, because I was actually in a emotionally toxic relationship, not a physical one, and didn't realise. But once I did, I was able to take the steps to protect myself, which I didn't have that
Before.
earlier on. Yeah, I never had that. And I think, and it's also about being boundaried, because I never had any boundaries. And whatever values I had for myself in the past, my goalpost would move to please the person that I was with. So my values went out the window, but not this time.
Yeah.
So for me, I think as we get older, there's a kind of wisdom and maturity.
So you understood the danger zones, and you were able to extract yourself better than previously.
Absolutely. Not to say that it was easy.
Of course.
Because it wasn't. Not to say that it wasn't painful, because it was. But there was something for me around saving myself and knowing my value and worth, and what I would, what was my boundaries. When would I say no? What would I allow and what would I not allow? And it was actually, because by doing that, you're not only serving yourself, but you're teaching the other person how to treat you. So.
Wow. Absolutely, you do. For me, I have not been in a relationship now since 2 years.
Right.
Out of choice, and similarly, it's about worth. Couple of marriages to two people. This is like 20 odd years ago, and how many years? But a while. And both, that was me seeking my African prince, and understanding that you can go to another continent and buck up and see and brother. Yeah.
Oh God.
And so, because I think I thought that because somebody is entrenched in an African societal understanding, coming from a family, I think a part of me, because my family was so, in a sense, unanchored, looking for that anchored family.
Yeah.
So thinking that if I marry somebody from an African an African country, that they have that. So you don't need to then, and it never goes so. I think after that, I had one relationship I had that was fulfilling, that when I think about it, and I accepted it for what it was at that time. I didn't have any expectations of, it was like, this right now for me is so nice.
Yeah.
I'm just going to enjoy it for what it is. And it came to an end because the person went to live in another country, and it was fine.
Yeah.
So I wasn't looking for the ever after. I accepted it for what it was at that time. And it was a few months of really being loved and being hugged and being touched and being appreciated for what I was at that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's probably one of the most, if not the most, fulfilling relationship that I've had, because I let go of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since then, I spent a few years on dating websites.
Okay. How did that go?
I could write a book about it, but what I found was, my experience, I'm not trying to pull anyone down. Black men my age is what I'm looking for. Black men my age often aren't looking for women their age.
Wow.
Black men from the UK, my experience, say Caribbean, they're not the men that I would get resounding is men from the African continent,
Right.
born, and black men from, I'm personally into black men.
Yeah.
And black men from America
Really?
and other countries. But my own brother that, let's say, a parallel, who went to school the same time I did, no, not interested.
That's
They want
interesting.
younger women, and they don't want a woman that maybe doesn't fall into the parameters that people have psychologically got into,
Right.
around shape and around weight and around diggity. And no apology for being Musufing, but resoundingly brothers from the African continent.
Wow.
Brothers from America. But my experience, and I'm talking about speaking to lots of men.
Right. Right.
That was my experience.
That's interesting.
And when you look at the statistically, when it comes to dating websites, black women, Asian men are on the lowest rung of the ladder. That's
Wow.
research. That's research. That's not me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. That's not good.
One of the lovely things about the dating sites is I've met guys who I'm still friends with, who I never had a relationship with,
Right,
but we
right.
just liked each other as human beings. But it's not great for black women. I think we're expected. Do you remember the strong black woman that we visited?
Gosh. Yeah.
There's an expectation that maybe isn't expected from other women.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Wow.
have we finished with it, Marcia? Look, we are going to lock up everything and just done with it. Lock up everything, you know?
Oh gosh. I'm still open. You know, I'm still open to relationships. I'm not particularly looking. However, and I suppose in a way, I've kind of had to kind of understand myself to be able, and it's taken a while because there was this whole thing around trust and all of that, and it wasn't easy for me to kind of, you know, go back, you know, even think about dating again, because it was like, because if you follow my mind, and if I didn't do the work on my own self, it would be like, no,
Can't bother.
you know. So it was really about I had to do the work on myself, and I had to feel okay with me again.
Yeah.
You know, and because I feel okay with me, then I'm you know, I'm open.
Yeah.
To what, but I guess I'm going to be a bit more reflective. I'm going to be a bit more
discerning,
and perhaps a little bit more choosing. And I think it's important to know what it is that I would want.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily talking about him being 6 foot tall and you know all those kind of superficial things. But it's understanding what's going to make that connection.
Yes.
With me and you know, and a man.
Yes.
And so I'm looking at it. It's kind of like my relationship ideology then is kind of shifted. It's not what it was
when you were 16, 17, 18, 20.
Yeah. Not even in my 40s.
Not even in your 40s.
Yeah.
I would agree. I am not looking, but I'm open.
Yeah.
Because I feel good about who I am, where I am. It's taken decades. Not to say it's all over. But I'm open. I'm off the dating sites because I just found that I met guys, they want to test drive a car. It's not necessary. And I'm looking I'm not saying that I'm not a sexual being. Yes, I am. But I'm looking for a connection that's higher.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Someone that I can, I don't know how to ride a bike. I'm learning how to ride a bike.
Right.
I want to do new things.
Yeah.
Go swimming, chat, laugh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sit and do nothing together. And it's okay. Yeah. But it's not a missing piece thing.
Yeah.
It's really just a sharing that I'm open to, similar to yourself.
Absolutely. It's interesting that you say, they want to test drive the car. Oh, because, and that's the other thing, I think back in the day, we thought that was what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
And that meant that, once, and I think for women it's very different. You wouldn't offer yourself. Well, I don't know about now, but certainly for us, and it was a case of you gave yourself up to somebody. Then there's an expectation that unless you're very clear that this is, I don't know, one night stand or whatever. But if
it is, then be clear about that. Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah. And so, but there's this expectation then that you're in something.
Yes.
And I think it's understanding that, men and women process things very differently. Because we're very much the emotional. We get attached very quick. Well, I don't even know if quickly is the right word, but, we are much more emotional beings. We're going to be emotionally invested in a relationship. I'm not saying a man can't be, but that might not necessarily be, he's probably just in it. Sometimes they're in it just for the pleasure of it, and they're not necessarily, and they can dissociate it in a way that we don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what I'm saying. So I think really when we are, certainly for me, when I'm thinking about that, I mean, just like you, I'd rather get to know that person at this stage in my life. That's not the be all and end all. And if a man if that's what he wants, then he's actually not for me.
And be honest about that. Then no, I'm not interested in that.
Yeah. Not
personally.
Not just in the beginning.
No.
There's something about actually getting to know somebody, making sure that you connect.
Yes.
Because I realise now that for me, being having that sort of intimate connection is actually a spiritual thing. And I don't want to be yoked to anybody.
No.
That's the stage where I'm at in my life.
Yeah.
So it's somebody that there's we're on a long-term thing. I don't want the short thing. I don't because I can be happy on my own. I don't need.
That's right.
There was a time when I thought, I'll just have a bit of fun. I don't need that, because now I know, when I'm giving myself to somebody and then it's gone, I've given a bit of myself.
And it's a beautiful gift. We understood that we are an amazing gift.
Yeah.
If you don't want the gift and you just want a whiff of it in a 5-minute, one day something.
Yeah.
For real. One thing I did find disappointing, speaking to so many guys, via dating sites. And some of them we exchange numbers. Some of them I never physically met. But thinking that guys who are in their late 40s, 50s, 60s, they've gotten over certain things. And you're not going to be having the same types of issues.
Right.
And it's like a lot of guys are still in that place. Some who are very sexual in the first 5 seconds. And we're not sitting here saying that we're not sexual beings.
Come on.
But if that's the first or second or third thing you're going to say to me, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Galang.
You know, because we're not sort of 18, 20. You know, the whole thing around, you know, I'm not saying, you know, like you get that feeling, you know, ooh, you know, and you're all up in your feelings. But once that's gone, what's left?
What's left?
What's left?
Yes.
So it for me, it's really about, because it does go. Let's face it. You cannot live on that high.
No.
You know, on all the time. There will come a point where it comes down and things level out, and that's when you really can test your relationship now.
Yes,
and that's the part where you start to build. You know, that's key. You don't want to be all you know, the sex bit and you know, all you know, your heart fluttering, all that. You know, it's superficial. We're talking about relationship.
That's right. In totality.
Yeah.
You build from the bottom and you work your way through.
Absolutely.
And you don't expect everything to be perfect.
Yeah.
Because in our 5th decade...
yeah, 6th for me.
6th decade.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is something wonderful about coming to this point and looking back. And, you know, I'm thankful for all the amazing human beings who came in the form of partners to my life.
Absolutely.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for everything that they've taught me.
Absolutely.
Even though I had to run away from some of the put on my Adidas and run. But I'm still thankful because it taught me something about myself.
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing. If we, you know, we're at that place where we can, you know, each time, because we're you know, it's not the ideal. We don't want to be in different relationships.
No.
We just want to be in one loving relationship and be happy. But unfortunately for a lot of us, that's what's happened. And each time we do that and we split, we give bits of ourselves away. And I think, Musufing's absolutely right. When we are in those kind of relationships, we don't, I don't hate, my ex-partners, but there are lessons. There are things that we can learn about who we are through those experiences that we've had. Even just like you said, if you pick up your foot and run, you know what I mean? We've all, well, not all of us, but, I've been in those toxic relationships and I know that there've been lessons learned within those. And so at the time it doesn't feel like that. But, when you can look back and, you can process everything, do the work on yourself, I think you appreciate what you've learned. You actually build resilience. You actually start to know what it is that you want from your next relationship.
Absolutely.
You know what, and also you learn not to compromise your own values, because that's what I spent most of my adult life in relationships doing, compromising my own values.
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
And every time you keep moving the goalpost to kind of support somebody else because they don't like a certain thing, or you want to keep up with, you want the relationship to be the same. And I'm talking particularly about sort of toxic relationships, like, controlling relationships and all of that. Every time we keep moving, they keep moving the goalposts, and we're prepared. I was prepared to keep moving my standard. That's a boundary. So I hate that word. But it's not that I hate the word boundary, because that also feels like you're putting a wall up.
Yes.
But if I call it a standard, so my gold standard, I didn't have one.
So it's taken 30, 40 years
Absolutely.
to develop, this is what I want.
Yeah.
Because when I was 18, I had no clue. Me just dropping at the sitting. Me just blah, 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 blah.
I thought it was all like Mills and Boon because I used to love reading
Oh
them.
my God.
I used to read Mills and Boon from I was in school, and I happened to come across them and I thought, oh, it's all romantic.
Fluttery.
Yeah, and and that was,
yes,
unfortunately, that was
yes
what I thought was reality.
Yes. Yeah.
And definitely sometimes, what you see on TV, you think that that's how a relationship is meant to be because, yeah, and I thought that was what it is.
Yes.
No.
And I think for black women, as the studies have shown, I don't see I watch the study, but I don't internalize it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I could say nobody know I'm a black woman because it's the truth.
Yeah.
When it comes to dating websites, and them, these websites are making a lot of money and they're very popular because of the way the world has changed.
Yeah.
Black women are probably at the bottom in terms of desirability.
Yeah.
So that not to internalize it, but that's a weighty thing to hear or to.
Absolutely, it's hurtful.
Yeah. So for us, the odds and it hasn't stopped us or influenced us, but it is a reality.
Absolutely.
And I love the fact that we're both still saying, yeah, I'm open to taking a journey and taking a walk again and have
absolutely
a wonderful relationship.
Yeah. Knowing your values. Get to our age. I definitely don't want to be in a similar relationship to when I was 18, 20, 30s, even in my 40s. But actually, because I truly believe that there are men
yes
that would, because sometimes there was, you remember the thing, a man shortage and all of that. I truly believe that there is a man for you.
I agree. Yeah.
And for me, and I'm prepared to wait. I am not gonna compromise myself ever again. But that does mean I can be open.
Yes.
And I know what my stand. And sometimes somebody might say, "Oh well, you kind of got all these standards that you're just gonna miss the point." Do you know what? Stick to your principles. Stick to your principles. Don't compromise. That doesn't mean being hard. It doesn't mean kicking people to the curb because they haven't reached your standard. That's not what I'm saying. It's actually knowing who you are because you'll attract the right person.
And there's compromise within that.
Absolutely.
But we have to be careful of compromise because when you start to contort and don't recognize yourself in the mirror, then that can be an issue.
It can. So if we're compromising, I don't think we should compromise on our values. You want somebody that's got similar values. So instead of trying to yoke yourself with somebody who doesn't have the same values, then that might not necessarily be the right relationship for you because there has to be something to bounce off.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So you might not do all the same things, but essentially some of the values that you have, like for example, honesty. That's one of my big values. If somebody ain't honest, I'm not even going to go there. Things like integrity, family is important to me. He might have his own family or whatever. That's a value that I respect. I'm trying to think of some other values.
Those are massively foundational. Trust is big, as you said. Honesty, integrity, maturity,
absolutely,
and an ego that's in check.
Yeah.
When the ego is outrun by everything, I find that very difficult. And not having, like before, I guess the type of guy that I would think about, he has to be someone who was maybe had lax or was very culturally. But now, actually, it's not so important.
No.
It's about just an integrity of the self and the soul and the spirit.
Yeah.
I don't need those things anymore.
No.
Yeah. because human beings are human beings.
Absolutely.
Whatever they cover themselves in terms of their practices or spirituality. So yes, I've broadened it because I realized that it doesn't matter if you wrap your hair this way, if you have that, if you wear an ankh, it doesn't necessarily mean that you've automatically got the stuff. Sometimes it can mean the ego is a bit too big sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
and it's interesting what you said. You went to Africa or wherever. It's all just different packaging.
People
but
are people.
Same issue.
People are people. Absolutely. So we're gonna have one more crack at the personal intimate relationship thing in the series of 4. I think we're gonna do well. We'll see. Yeah. And thank you for tuning in. We could go on, couldn't we?
We could. It's such an interesting topic to discuss.
Yeah.
And there are lots of different sort of
layers
layers and sub issues that we can talk about around this. But we don't actually have the time for that right now.
So thank you. We hope that you've got something from that. And don't forget to look about yourself.
Look Bout YuSelf with Marcia and Musufing.